10 minutes to go until 7, back here with our Smart Start for Friday. And breaking updates, a man is dead after a shooting and a crash on the northeast side of the city. RPD responded to the call on Ellison Street around 7:30 p.m. for gunfire and a car crashed into a pole. Officers got there, found a wrecked car and a man in his 20s shot at least once in the front seat. He died at the hospital. Police do believe the victim drove to Ellison, where he pulled up to a curb. That's when at least one suspect walked up to the car, opened fire and ran off. No suspects are in custody. And RPD officers recovering from injuries sustained during a foot chase for a suspect. Just before 5 p.m., the officer tried to stop a car at Maryland Street near Glenwood Avenue. That's when the driver pulled into a driveway and got out and ran. The officer went after the suspect, but got hurt trying to go over a fence. He was taken to the hospital and is expected to make a recovery. That suspect, a man in his 30s, was eventually arrested. Charges are pending. To another major headline, the search for victims and answers following the collision between the American Airlines regional jet and that military helicopter here near the nation's capital. A live look from the Potomac, where dive teams will be back today trying to find the rest of the 67 people on board killed. Dive teams were spent time out in the water yesterday in the Potomac River, and again, once the sun comes up, they'll be back. Investigators are combing through the site, picking up evidence. The National Transportation Safety Board said it already found the plane's 2 black boxes, and those are being analyzed right now.
We want to make sure we get it right. We take our time. We involve a lot of people, a lot of parties. That's the best way to make sure that we don't let tragedies like this happen again.
At the time of impact, both aircraft were flying at about 400 feet. Military choppers are supposed to stay below 200. Sources also tell CBS News that just one air traffic control worker was managing helicopter traffic in some planes during takeoff and landing from Reagan when this happened. That is a job usually handled by 2 different people at that time of day. The preliminary report from the NTSB is expected out within the next month. As investigators work to determine exactly how this happened, we are hearing from a local aviation expert. In the final moments of the flight, the American Airlines pilot was asked to change the runways he was originally told to land on. And Bob Miller believes that, which he says is really not that out of the ordinary, could be a reason behind what happened. Miller says the change in direction led the plane into a VFR corridor, that is where helicopters are flying at lower altitude.
So this helicopter may not have been in communication with the tower over at Reagan at all. His responsibility, of course, is to see and avoid.
Miller adds it's still way too early to pinpoint who's at fault. He stresses the black boxes, which again have been found, will be critical to piecing together the rest of the investigation. 6:53, more headlines we're following. This morning, a decision hearing is scheduled for the man charged with killing an 8-year-old girl in Rochester nearly 21 years ago. Investigators say February 2004, Timothy Kuhn, seen there, threw a Molotov cocktail through a home on Yates Street. There were several children inside. All escaped except for 8-year-old Savannah Straber. Investigators have said it's likely she had rushed back to her mother's room to look for her mom. And police say Kuhn had a prior relationship with the mother. He wasn't arrested until 2023, facing charges of murder and arson. Savannah's family had a vigil last weekend telling us the judge is going to rule on whether this case does go to trial. An increase in suicide cases, self-harm, eating disorders, bullying, just overall poor performance at school is directly related to an overuse of phones and social media. That was the overall message we heard from panelists and experts at an event put on here in Rochester with the State Teachers Union. NYSUT, the largest union for teachers, kicked off the first of 6 conferences statewide called Disconnected, talking about phones at school. Our very own Teresa Marstenberg was there as MC, moderating one of the panels featuring a doctor, social worker, and a psychologist from a Rochester City school. This event follows the announcement from the governor of a $13.5 million proposal to ban phones during the school day here in New York. Some of you already deal with this. Greece Central Schools put in a ban nearly 3 years ago. Other districts followed suit. Individual schools, such as Rochester's Monroe High, have also put in their own regulations.
I think one of the really big things that eliminating cell phone usage to a high extent in schools does is kind of reduces the opportunity for bullying and some of those behaviors that kind of come in from outside and permeate our schools and cause some trouble.
Educators say they realize parents are more connected to their children than ever before due to safety concerns, but they emphasize parents who need to get a message out to their kids or vice versa still do that the old-fashioned way. Get that call up to the phone in the school's front office. The NYSET town halls will continue statewide as lawmakers in Albany in the current session and other advocates determine the best way to move forward with a ban looming for the next school year if it passes. Final check now of your sunrise traffic view from our Greater Rock Sky Eye. Mostly clear and good so far this morning around the metro. One thing we have had mentioned before, Portland Avenue 104 still waiting for that accident to clear. Your temps right now, boy, we hit the 40 mark this morning. How about that?
Very mild to start. Yeah, so we go down from here. Temperatures fall as rain moves in. And the number you got to look for is 32. When do we get below that? And that happens around 6 p.m. So it may snow for a little bit, and then that falls. And once it does, that's when we start to get a little bit of accumulation through the afternoon, and then it tapers off overnight. Cold blast tomorrow. And then busy next week with kind of up and down temperatures. So be careful on those drives late this evening. It's Friday, so people go out late. Could be a little icy.
Or you just leave work early. How about that?
I love the 2 p.m. finish time. Perfect.
There you go. That does it for us. Have a great weekend, everybody. CBS Mornings on the way.
Follow News 8 wherever you are on RochesterFirst.com, Facebook, X, and on our app for news and weather.